Hello guys, my name is Luca from AudioTribe YouTube channel and I have a big question for Sony. Why is this happening? And you will see at the end of this video why I put this question. So we have here the Sony XV900 and the amazing Sony ULT Tower10. Both of them have huge power, both of them cost almost the same. They are in the $800 to $1,000 cost price depending on the store that you buy it, and both of them looks and have almost the same drivers. So let's talk about the specs. Both of them have two 12.6-inch squared subwoofers. Both of them have two mid-range speakers. Both of them have two tweeters on the front. Both of them have two tweeters on the back. Here the ULT Tower 10 and here the XV900, and only Sony XV900 has tweeter on the sides. So you can definitely tell that Sony XV900, because it has the extra two tweeters, should be much more powerful, but you will see that this is not the case. Of course, both of them looks very good. As you see, I really prefer the look of the Sony XV900, even if the Sony ULT Tower 10 looks much more aggressive with these holes. Of course, on the top you will see the interface buttons, and I really love the interface of the Sony ULT Tower 10. Now we will make 3 tests to see what's really the difference in sound between these two speakers. We will do a loudness test, we will do an intensity test, and we will do a bass test to see which has the better sound between all of this, and of course which is better to buy, because in the same price range only the Sony XV900 have internal battery, and because we wanted to make this video very accurate, I have connected both of them to the power source. Of course, this has battery full charge, has internal battery, while the Sony ULT Tower 10 doesn't have internal battery, but it comes with a wireless microphone that probably not many of us will use it. On the bottom you will see that the Sony ULT Tower 10 are much more brighter than the Sony XV900 lights, but the Sony XV900 are much brighter on the top part. So I don't know, these two speakers looks very good and looks almost similar. Imagine that the Sony XV900 is just a little brother but has almost the same configuration. So let's start with the loudness test, and for that we're gonna put the decibel meter exactly in the middle of these two speakers at the same height on dBA and on the maximum level. Of course, the equalizer will be with the equalizer flat, but of course on the Sony ULT Tower 10 we will leave it with the ULT button on the second level and the mega bass on the XV900 activated. That's how we know that these two speakers will sound almost the same. Of course it lacks the ULT button, but come on, you can do the ULT equalizer in the settings of the Sony Center app.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on call, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside, when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument, or just the start of it?
The Sony XV900 sounds very good, but of course it is not crazy loud. It reaches only 107.3 dBA. Now let's see how will the Sony ULT Tower10 will do with almost the same configuration.
Take me back to a place where we felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small.
So it's enough to tell that the Sony ULT Tower10 it is with 7 decibels louder than the Sony XV900. Now let's do the intensity test. And to do this we will reset the decibel meter, put it on dBc and on the maximum value. And let's increase in power till the max.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small.
So the Sony ULT Tower10 recorded a maximum peak of 117.1 dBc. Now let's see how Sony XV900 will do. Let's reset the decibel meter, put it on dBc and play the song.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on.
Why is this happening? The Sony ULT Tower10 recorded a maximum peak of 117.1 and the Sony XV900 only 108. Now let's do the bass test. And to do the bass test we will put the decibel meter on dBc on the maximum value and we will gonna put a 40 Hz flat and we will increase in power till the max. This is the Sony XV900. 40 Hz. Okay, so 94.1. Let's do this test again to be sure and to be very accurate. dBc maximum and .94 decibels in dBc. This is not much. I am a little bit disappointed by this result, but now I have connected the Sony ULT Tower10 and we will do the same test. Let's increase in power. So to beat 93.7 already surpasses. .6. This is very strange. So Sony, I have this question. what is happening, because we have the same woofer, the same 12.6-inch woofer, and the Sony XV900 recorded a maximum peak of 94 decibels in dBc, and the ULT Tower10 recorded 110 with 16 decibels greater in dBc. Between these two with the same woofer, if you ask me, I think it is through software integration, because the difference between these two speakers in loudness, in intensity, in bass, it is just too big. So at loudness in dBA, we measured the dBA, and the Sony XV900 recorded 107.3 and ULT Tower10 recorded 114.3, so it is with 7 decibels louder. At intensity, the XV900 recorded 108 and the Sony ULT Tower10 recorded 117, so with 9 decibels louder. And at the bass test, the XV900 recorded 94 decibels, while the Sony ULT Tower10 recorded 110.6 with 16 decibels louder. Why is this happening with the same woofer? Why is this happening with almost the same configuration? And keep in mind, the Sony XV900 has an extra 2 tweeters on the sides. Why? Okay, so between these two, clearly I will go for the Sony ULT Tower10, because it has almost the same price. It comes with the wireless microphone, but at loudness and at intensity, it is far better, you know. The measurements that we get tell that the Sony XV900, it is not that powerful. Why? The Sony XV900, it is just too weak for its size, and the Sony ULT Tower10, I can tell that through software integration the drivers are set to maximum, you know. This sounds very good. The sound has a very good quality. It has internal battery that lasts up to 25 hours, but I will choose the Sony ULT Tower10 because this is far greater in bass, it is far louder, and the intensity of this amazing speaker, it is very good. And another question, this increase in power in bass at 60%, 70%, and the Sony ULT Tower10 increase in bass even at 100%. Why is this happening? Why we cannot have the same integration on both of them? Why put the Sony ULT Tower10 to its higher limits and just go with the Sony XV900 to its lower limits? Maybe you guys know why is this much difference between these two speakers. Feel free to subscribe to AudioTribe YouTube channel and please hit that like button. Cheers!